What's up, you beauties? Welcome to High and Wide Radio, episode 47 of season 5, the last episode of season 5. I'm your host, Jim Michkov, joined as always by Jack Smith and Travis Ballinghoff. If you're watching us live on YouTube, make sure you are subscribed and set an alert for future shows. And if you're listening as a podcast, please make sure you're listening and subscribed on Apple Podcast or Spotify to get notifications for future episodes the minute we upload them. All right, guys. The last episode of the season, rookie camp, regular camp starts in a week. Actually, this week, the 14th to be exact. So we're gonna bring season 5 to an end, and we're gonna start right back up next week, season 6. This whole season thing's kind of BS because we never stop, but it ends whenever we want. So
episode 47, huh?
Yeah, I guess
Andrew McDonald.
Oh,
the Andrew McDonald episode.
Meant to be.
No, I don't like it.
Good way to end.
So, topic loaded episode this week, guys. Stuff's going on in Russia, as always. We'll get to that with our new segment. Morgan Frost finally signed a contract, and let's open the episode with a little good news because I don't think this happened after we did our episode last week, right? Happened during the week sometime. I don't think we talked about Frost. I'm curious to hear what you guys think because I kind of gave my thoughts Friday during the Friday flyby or flyover. Sorry, God forbid that's trademark.
You're done.
So Jack, I'm curious. Frost signs for 2 years, $4.2 million, 2.1 average annual value. Your thoughts on the new deal for Mr. Morgan Frost?
I mean, it's perfect. I mean, he's not that it matters how much he makes where this team is, but it's only 2 years. You don't walk him to free agency. You still got a year. And I kind of was a little, in a weird way, underwhelmed. I'm like, what was the holdout for? Like, were we that like lowballing him, or did he really want that much? And then just common sense came around. So I don't know. But either way, I think it's exactly what it should be. And it works.
Absolutely. Trav, your thoughts?
Very similar thoughts. I was curious why it took so long. I was on here before saying I was hoping for a bridge deal with Frost. Got it done. I was wondering maybe because you remember last year when Chuck Fletcher sent out the email to all the players, hey, it's strongly recommended for you to be here September 1st. Maybe, Morgan Frost still being a young guy. He doesn't want to miss any of John Tortorella's camp. I think that could have played a part in it. And like Jack was saying, were we lowballing him? Did he want too much? But I guess he was like, maybe it's time to get in here before they start getting a bad opinion about me. But I really like Morgan Frost. This is going to be a big year for him, and hopefully he takes it and runs with it.
I love this deal. I think it's a win. And somebody was on the YouTube in the comments giving us issues on, I think I said it on Friday flyover, that it was a win for the front office. Like you sign a potential at the very, I don't want to say at the very best second C, because if he outperforms what we think, he could play around on the top line at times, right? Like he's capable of it.
Mm-hmm. On this team, sure.
Yeah. And so he signed for 2 years at only 2.1 as a cap hit. I think that's outstanding from the front office. I'm sure Frost maybe wanted more. I thought he was going to get more. I think that's a win. And when you look at maybe they'll make up, let's say he outperforms this deal, right? And in 2 years, when the cap goes up, maybe he somewhat gets overpaid as long as things go well. It's sort of what they did with Couturier. Remember when Coots was like a steal? He's making what, like $4 million for however many years, and then they give him that long contract. I don't know. Maybe, who knows? I think it's a great deal though. You could put him on the first, second, at the very worst, third line, and he's still just making $2.1 million. That's a win, right?
Hands down a win. And I just like mostly because it doesn't matter what we pay players as long as we fit them in the cap during this like time where we're at in our franchise. Not walking him to free agency was very important because that's when you can really get held up and you lose your leverage. So that's more important to me here. The money itself, that just shocked me based on the holdout. So like it is a win for the front office. I mean, we've had a decent amount to go by, but it's there's every facet of the game I would like to see what Danny Briere does, and this was exactly what he should have done. So that's a check mark. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll pile on here. I completely agree. Like, the money didn't really matter to me too much, just because we're not a cap team at the moment. We should be fine in that perspective, and part of that's kind of why I wanted Cam York on a long-term deal. Like, say you sign Cam York to 8 years, and you get, let's say, 4 years at a good cap number, and then the cap's going to be up, and it's like, the cap's going to keep going up, and you look at the Cam York deal as like a steal. Like, I thought that made sense for Yorkie. Frost, I think a bridge is perfect, and like Jack said, he's still going to be restricted free agent, so we still have leverage there. I mean, if this guy plays to his potential, he could be looking at a 6, 7, 8 year deal 2 years from now.
For sure. And important to point out, I think, that Morgan Frost is just 24 years old, which he's the same age as Noah Cates, actually. Right. So for the longest time, we were able to say, Frost is only 20. He's only 21, only 22. He's 24 years old now. No longer a kid. Right. It's the same age as Noah Cates. I don't think anybody looks at Noah Cates like they're, a young up and coming guy. Like, this is it. Like, between now and the next 2 years, you have to show us what you are. Are you the guy that led the team in scoring through the last half of the season last year? Or, are you going to continue to be inconsistent? And he has the ability to play for his next contract again. And at the same time, he's a millionaire. So he made out okay.
Yeah.
4.2 million is not peanuts. He did okay. So good for Frost, even better for the Flyers. And we'll see what happens between now and his next contract. As
long as he's not in Torts' doghouse, you would expect he's going to have a lot of opportunity, going to be on the power play, 5-on-5. He's going to be playing with some pretty good wingers.
Yep.
He's got a good opportunity here.
He really does. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about guys like Forster, Farabee,
Konechny,
Tippett. I mean, these guys can put the puck in the net. So, those are the guys you want playing on the wings of, a guy like Frost. So, great point there. All right, let's keep it rolling a little bit. Let's kind of change gears. So, more positive news came out today. Brian Boucher, the former Philadelphia Flyer goalie, will now be in the booth with JJ. Your guys' thoughts on that? Trav, we can kick this one off with you first.
I think Brian Boucher is a phenomenal analyst, and I kind of think he wasn't on ESPN enough. I thought when NBC had the rights, they used him a lot. I thought he was really good. ESPN, he really wasn't on like the national games. You'd have to tune into a 10 o'clock West Coast game to hear him. But I thought he was really good in the playoffs, and I was pretty pumped when they announced he was going to TNT and he's going to be on the Wednesday night games. Is it Wednesday night? Now I forget.
I think I saw Wednesday, yeah.
But he's going to be like the main in between the bench guys for them. So I'm pretty happy about that. And then we get this news that we're going to have him for majority of the season. I think he's a phenomenal broadcaster. I'm pretty pumped.
I like him too. Jack, what do you think?
No, I completely agree. It was almost funny. Like, we chose him. I'm like, I'm surprised that he chose us. Like, I know he's from the team and whatnot, but like, I guess maybe he wasn't being shown enough on ESPN, because every time I've seen him, he's done a phenomenal job. He's never made a fool of himself. He's never really come off too biased or anything like that. He just does his job and he's good at it. So the fact that he's doing a majority of the games here was phenomenal. You can't do for losing Keith Jones. Like, there was a couple names mentioned. Like, I love Scott Hartnell, but I did not really see him in that role. Bush, I think, will be perfect, and I hope he's there as long as we can have him. I think it's a phenomenal replacement.
So do I. Yeah, as long as it wasn't Hartnell, right? I like Boucher. He's easy to listen to. He knows his stuff. And who knows? Maybe he's the next Flyers GM.
Fast track.
or what's Keith Jones now? The president of hockey
Yes,
ops?
yeah, screw GM. He went right to the top.
Maybe Bush is the next president of hockey ops. Who knows? But no, I as fans, and there are people who might disagree, but I think the majority agree. I think we've been pretty lucky with who the Flyers have had in the booth calling games for as long as we've been alive. I mean, I don't remember, or if I ever even saw Gene Hart. When was he done, Jack? Do you remember? Like that's something that you would remember.
I want to say like right around 95. He died in 99. I think 95 was either their first season without him or his last season, because I remember listening to Jim Jackson on the radio like one half a season or something, and then he made the jump to TV. But I was like 8 years old, so I'm trying to remember, but I think that's right around that time.
Okay. I don't ever remember watching a game with anyone aside from Jim Jackson calling the game. It's possible that I saw Hart, but I mean, we've had Jim Jackson, we've had remember Gary Dornhofer. I loved Dornhofer on with JJ. We've had Keith Jones, Bill Clement, Steve Coates has been fun. You know what I mean? And you have the radio, Tim Saunders. So we've been pretty lucky with, guys calling the games on the radio and on TV as fans.
Well, if I could, I want to ask you guys a question. I've always wondered this. I've seen some things on Twitter. It has to do with the announcers. It's not exactly on topic, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. So Jim Jackson's a treasure. I believe that. Tell me if you think I'm wrong. He gets some flack sometimes. And when you look at like Jack Edwards in Boston, it's like night and day. So it's like, how could he get flack? So one of the things I do see is he is too biased. Before I go any further, I'll start with Travis. Like, what are your thoughts on that being a negative critique of Jim Jackson? He's too biased towards his own team.
So I get what you're saying. And I do think he's a little biased at times. I don't think it's anything bad, but I think that there should be a little bit of bias towards the team you call for when you work for the Flyers and you're broadcasting towards Flyers fans. I think there's something to that. And I don't think he goes over the line. I see the criticisms that you're talking about on Twitter from time to time. People think he's too biased. I don't think so. I'll be honest, I thought Bill Clement was a little too biased at times. I don't see it with Jim Jackson. I heard a story one time, and I think this is kind of publicly well known, but Ed Snyder was like, I want you guys to be biased towards our team. I don't want you guys talking crap about any of our players. So I think they were also a little bit ingrained in that.
I'm good with that. I honestly, I agree with that. I guess from business perspective, from a guy like Ed Snyder's perspective, these are team employees, like they're employed by your organization, calling games about your team. The last thing you want is for them to say negative things, even if a person that does it very well or did it really well was Keith Jones. If he didn't have positive things to say about a player, he just didn't talk about the player. And if you were wondering, like, let's say, you come to him and go, yeah, you don't talk about this guy that much. Like, how come? Well, he's not giving me anything to talk about, and that's how you know he's not playing well. You don't need to go on. Honestly, I don't like when announcers are on national TV or whatever, and they're like, this guy's been playing like this and he stinks and he's this and he's that. That's poor taste in my opinion, let the national guys do that. I always I like the biasness, and I think Flyers fans know that our announcers are biased. So going into the game, you should expect that. To criticize it, I think, is idiotic, for lack of a better word. It just is what it is. So and I don't even think they're that bad at it. They're not even that big of homers.
Yeah, I'll finish with this. I think Jim Jackson's a little biased, and it's good. Jack Edwards is way too biased. That's where I'm out. That's too much.
It's like laughably biased,
Yeah.
And he's just flat out laughable sometimes. Like, I don't even understand what the hell he's trying to say half the time. But no, it's good to see we're on the same page because I see stuff like that. I'm glad you feel the same way I do. I'm like, the audience, 85% of the audience at least is Flyers fans. I would expect him to be biased. I want him to be biased. I don't want him saying every single call is the worst thing ever if it goes against the Flyers, which is kind of my initial reaction, but I'm not live. I got to calm down and think things over. But like, he's a national treasure and he doesn't get enough credit. And people say stuff like that. I'm like, he's not a national guy. Like, why would he do that? Why would you want him to do that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It irritates me because the guy is so good and doesn't get enough credit. So I'm glad we're on the same page there.
For sure. And our buddy Jared Phillips popping in. If you've never heard Esposito on Tampa Bay broadcast, it's wild. So I'm not sure if it's the same guy, and I think he's really popular down in Tampa. But they have a guy. I think it's radio. I have to. When they were doing the replays of Tampa Bay winning the cup and scoring goals, I can't listen to this guy. Do you know who it is?
Yeah, I remember that as well.
Like he screams and he like yells. It doesn't even sound good. It just like blares into your ears.
I don't know if this guy still does this, and I don't know if it's TV or radio, but the Florida Panthers guy, I think it's radio. He used to, I guess because they don't get a lot of viewership, but he used to say things like, because this is going back to when Baumeister was on the team. He's like, "Oh, Baumeister, the shot, hot pot of coffee, and hit the post," like stuff like that. It was fun. I was like, that's different. I kind of like that. I thought that's what you were gonna say, but no.
I wonder if it's the same guy or something, dude. Because
it was definitely Florida
guy
who I'm talking about because the players he was mentioning were definitely Florida Panthers. So, but again, this is like 2000. When was Baumeister with Florida? 2007, 8, 9, something like that.
Yeah. One more comment from Jared here. They're supposed to be biased. It's a feature, not a bug. They know their audience. I mean,
know your audience. Common sense.
Exactly. So, yep. All right. Brian Boucher is going to be in the booth. Something to look forward to for the season. What else do we have here? Jackson Cates is on a PTO with the New York Islanders. So, Jack, maybe bumping up the price of that. What's that card again?
Young Guns.
Young Gun. I have the Jackson Cates Young Gun because there was too many Noah Cates Young Guns going around. So I snagged the Jackson Cates. And when he becomes a stud with the Islanders, come to me. We'll talk deals. We'll talk business.
Yeah, so there you go. All right. I think it might be time for
the KHL update.
Jack, did you see that last week?
I did, and I loved it.
All right. The KHL update. It's time. So, obviously, the big news is Michkov was getting scratched. He's only been in one game so far this season for SKA St. Petersburg, and it was a pretty uneventful night for Michkov. I think he played over 6 minutes. He was loaned today to his former club, or the club that he was formerly loaned out to, HC Sochi. And this is significant because Michkov played in, I think it was 29 games with them. 27 games with Sochi last year. He was on loan from St. Petersburg. Played 27 games, 9 goals, 20 assists. Sochi's known for developing some of their younger guys, the coaches. I think he's been a coach for 8 years or so, and he's good with player development. So the situation is more ideal in regards to playing for Michkov. Now, the downside or the interesting part of that is Michkov had mentioned weeks or months ago that he would rather not go back to Sochi, as you know, his father, I think, was spent time with him out there, either before, during, while Michkov was there, and he was killed, obviously. So Michkov would rather not play there because everything reminds him of his father. So we'll see how this is going to play out in terms of development, hockey, and all that. It looks good for Michkov. The other stuff, I don't know. That's tough. I couldn't imagine, to be honest with you. So, Jack, your first thoughts on Michkov being loaned to HC Sochi?
Well, outside of all the father stuff, which I totally understand, I think it's fantastic. He needed to get out of the situation he was in. I saw a lot like, oh, is he actually? I'm sure none of us believe this, but oh, is he actually struggling out there? Or is he not that good or whatever? Our good friend Dan Knightley found a pretty good podcast poll from oh geez, I just had his name up now. I'm going to slip. He's normally a Toronto Steve Dangle, the Steve Dangle podcast, and they spoke about how it is in Russia and whatnot. And that club, the St. Petersburg club, which is like always good, they're like the Yankees of Russia. The head coach is like a political position. Like the guy was his background to hockey. He was like an advisor with some like I'm not sure what league it was in, but they built a team for some kind of world play, and he was involved. And then he's the head coach of the top team in Russia. Like it's an appointed position. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about or doing. On top of that, they also noted that when you're a Russian player and you're like, yeah, I'm going to the NHL, they typically don't give a shit about you. I believe Demonov, correct me if I'm saying it wrong, was the 13th forward. I think both of those players could play on their second or third line. Who's their top line center? It's Galchenyuk, isn't it? Like,
honestly, I don't remember.
Like, give me a break. Like, you're telling me, he's not good enough to play? Put all that crap out of your head. We needed this guy out of there. Like, obviously, we need him here, but getting him out of there to develop elsewhere and actually play meaningful minutes was more important than anything. It's fantastic news that he's not in that situation anymore.
Yeah, and I'll hop in. Our old buddy Misha Vorobiev was on that team as well on the third line, and we know about him as a player. And it's like, dude, Michkov was breaking Ovechkin and Kucherov and all these different Russian, Kaprizov, Malkin. His year 18 season points per game was better than all them guys. Like, why are you scratching him? He's a stud. So I think it's a good thing. I kind of talked about it last week. I was hoping this wouldn't kind of dread along and it would kind of end soon and they just stick him in the lineup. But like Jack said, I mean, this coach is a certified idiot. Let's keep it 100. And I think he got the job because he's buddies with Putin over there. And
it's like if they made Chris Christie the head coach of the Flyers. It's just stupid. Yeah, I'm telling you, like that's the kind of person running that team right now.
So, yeah, from a hockey perspective, I think it's really good that he's going back to this team that he played pretty well on last year.
That was a good one, Jack.
First one that popped in my head.
Great comparison.
How about
I don't know about that.
Aaron Rodgers just got hurt.
No, stop.
Yep.
Oh, I got to check on my one friend. He might be jumping.
That does nothing for me. Actually, wait, it does. Anyways, all right. So Michkov's going to get some more playing time. That's great. We'll see what happens with Sochi. At least we'll get to watch some Michkov. Let's move on. Flyers have a couple prospect goalies over in the KHL. Well, we think 2 prospect goalies. Let's get to Alexei Kolosov first. Obviously, he had the shutout in his first game. Has played in 2 games since. He's 1-1 on the season, so I guess it came in relief. He's given up 5 goals since. 2.52 goals against average. .917 save percentage, which only 3 games, but if he can maintain that throughout the season, that would be his highest save percentage of his career, which would be significant because his ELC, he's signed to an ELC, and he can come over as soon as next season. So we want to be watching for a good, a really good season from Alexei Kolosov this year because there's a chance that he could be the Flyers' future starting goaltender. Any thoughts, comments on Alexei Kolosov? I don't know if you guys have watched him. I haven't really had an opportunity to watch him this year, so I can only read off stats and pump him up in that sense.
Yeah, same here. I'll keep it short. I saw some highlights of a shutout he had a couple of weeks ago, and he looked really good. And talked about it last week. I mean, this guy, you read the scouting reports, people are very high on him. So let's hope he continues to play well because I agree with you, Jim. This guy might have a really strong future for us.
Mm-hmm.
The comparisons, the names that his name has been thrown into with where those players are now, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be Shesterkin. I'm not saying he's going to be a Sorokin,
I
the
am.
trajectory of his career is identical. Like I stash him like they did Erison. You forgot about him. You were focused on the goalies we had here at the time, and then one day he just shows up to camp and it's like, oh crap, what do we have here? So that's what I can see happening with this guy. I'm 1,000 times more excited for this guy than I am Fedotov. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But yeah, no, I want to keep hearing good things. Just get him over here. Just get him over here. We'll go from there.
Mm-hmm.
How about all these stud Russians that we're talking about with the Flyers? If there's been one thing that's been pretty consistent over the course of our Flyers fandom, they haven't really had too many stud Russians, and especially not stud Russian prospects, have they?
No,
I mean,
they
the
didn't
only
even draft
Russian that
him.
comes to mind is Zherdev, and he was only here for a year.
Jim, no joke. Like the only Russian they drafted I can think of in like the 90s was Dmitry Tertizhin. And he was a 6th round pick. You know what I mean? And that was a Schneider thing. And I don't think that's like a conspiracy theory or anything. They were just not, dude. They had all the money in the world, and they never brought in like a Pavel Bure or any Fedorov, like anybody like that. They weren't even in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
They were interested in other players. If they'd have gotten their hands on a guy like that, the other consistent thing for our Flyers fanhood, no cups. So it's like, screw it, get the best players.
Yeah, Provy comes to mind, but it's not a great comparison because he was playing in Western Canada, but
yeah,
he's Russian.
That's also 2015. He was drafted in the 90s. There was like a no Russian unless he's late. Probably not going to make it.
Where I thought Jim was going with that was all the stud Russian goalies that are popping up. I mean, Bob, we signed Bob out of Russia, but Bobrovsky, Varlamov was good for a while. You said Shesterkin, Sorokin, Vasilevsky. I mean, Briz was good for a while. I mean, there are some pretty good Russian goalies who have ben dominating.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Flyers currently have 3 stud Russian goalies in their system, at least 3. Kolosov, Fedotov, and the guy they just drafted this year, I'm going to butcher his name, Igor Zavragin. I don't have to learn how to say his last name, Zavragin. Yeah. So yeah, they have a lot of stud Russian goalies, and Michkov, new era of orange means
I like it.
Means Russian.
I'm kind of glad they're hopping on the Russian goalie wave because all these young guys keep coming up. I mean, they're all Russian. I'm down for it.
Yeah. So
I like the Zherdev shout out.
I was waiting for that.
Back-to-back episodes with Zherdev.
Yeah, that is interesting. I was.
Did we talk about him last week?
That conversation. I was, because when they signed him, I was the same way. I'm like, this guy's sick.
Yeah, crazy how that kind of just fizzled out, huh?
That's me at 20, Ah!
We should do like a bonus episode sometime where we just talk about like our top 3 or 5 favorite players.
All right, yeah, we could do that. That'd be
ones
fun.
That were good and ones that weren't good.
Zherdev might creep into my top 5. I was a big fan.
Didn't pan out. Yeah. Oh man, you could go nuts with this.
We could have fun with that.
Could have a lot of fun. All right. Oh, we didn't talk about Fedotov. Sorry.
Oh.
So had a rough first game back. I think he gave up 5 goals in his first game. Has started in 2 games since, and has only given up 3 goals in those 2 games. Has the save percentage up to .886, and the goals against average down to 2.68. So hopefully the save percentage continues to rise. And there's a little bit more news to go on in this saga that's never going to end. The IIHF apparently had a meeting with, was it KHL officials? I don't think it was team officials. Did you guys see this report?
Came out today, right?
Yeah. If not, I got to go back and look that up real quick.
I did glance over it. I saw that the IIHF is going to continue to discipline them, and the disciplinary actions are going to continue to get worse. I'm not sure if the KHL is going to follow through, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, like we said last week, it's like telling a punished kid to go to his room. Like, he's already punished. Like, it's a big deal. Now he's got to go to his room. So
this will end up This will
Yeah.
end up getting settled in like 2 years, where it's like, hey, we'll give Fedotov to the Flyers, but you got to let us back in the World Cup of hockey and the Olympics and all that crap.
Yeah.
I just love it. Anytime
Something
Russia
dumb
gets in
like that.
trouble, anytime Russia gets in trouble, the response is, ooh, like they just don't care.
So I'm looking at a quote. I don't mean to change gears back real quick here, but this is from Roman Rottenberg on Matvey Michkov. You guys want me to read this real quick?
Let's hear it.
By all means.
So Michkov will continue the season in Sochi. I think it's the right decision. He's got his whole career ahead of him. He now needs to play a lot with men to harden up. He will have this opportunity in Sochi. We talked a lot with Michkov and came to a mutual decision that this was the best option for his career. Michkov is a player of the first or second line, first or second majority. We don't want to marinate Matt Vi or Matt V. How do you say that? Matt V? Matt V. We don't want to marinate Matt V in reserve. We wish him maximum progress. We will closely monitor his play, and at the first opportunity, we will be glad to see him in St. Petersburg. See you on the ice. So I said all the right things there.
So let me cut you off real quick. Who was that quote by again?
Rotenberg. The coach.
Who's that? Okay.
Chris Christie. I like that. Yeah, so that was interesting. I saw that as I was looking for the.
He needs to play with men. Who was he playing with before?
Right.
Galchenyuk's not a real man.
Apparently not.
Guess Misha isn't either. Not a good veteran leadership core over there, I guess.
He did his best to, make it sound nice and political and whatnot. But whoever wrote that for him, had a couple of miscues. I really don't care what this clown has to say. He doesn't know anything about hockey.
Well, he did say he's got to harden up, and we're hard for Torts, so perfect place for him.
Hey, send him. We'll get him. Fucked up.
For Torts and Mappy.
We'll get him on the pod.
Damn right.
We'll get him on the pod. We're hard.
Extend the bridge. Get him over here. Seriously, I want this guy to have a Malkin-esque escape from Russia. We need that.
Could you imagine that would escalate Briere into superstardom as a GM if he found a way to smuggle Michkov over?
Mm-hmm.
Only difference was, but Gary Bettman was flying that plane that got Malkin over. He couldn't wait to bring him to the Penguins.
Yeah, that's funny. So yeah, Fedotov. I just looked. The IIHF met with officials from CSKA Moscow, and they agreed that the meeting, the agreement in the meeting was that they agreed that they're going to have a larger punishment, but not right in that moment. It was, all right, down the road, there'll be a bigger punishment for this. And Moscow said, okay.
Right.
So nothing came out of it.
Fake threats.
The officials in the KHL or wherever meeting, you guys are going to get in real serious trouble.
Yeah.
How else would that have went? Come on. Will this going to be settled over an email? We have to meet.
I don't know what else to say with this.
The
updates are fine, but when I see them, I almost get a little bit please stop. Give us more. Let us know when you're going to come over. I don't want to hear anything else until then, really, because everything else is just BS.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten to that point too. I guess it was a couple months ago, but it sounded like we were going to get him over, and I was feeling pretty optimistic. I think this guy's going to be a good goalie, and at this point, I'm just tired of it.
Somebody drafted him in our dynasty startup, so that happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
The clock run out?
No. That's the thing too. Yeah, he picked him pretty quick. Drafted Adder today.
Oh, I like that.
It's getting pretty deep.
It's still going on.
Yeah, it's probably going to end around Saturday. We've been taking a month. We're doing at the very least 2 picks a day. And on a good day, maybe you'll get 4 picks done.
Well, Jim, we had our rookie draft. How'd you do?
Pretty good, I think. Who did I get? I drafted Adam Fantilli. Because
Heyo.
Michkov went second in our league. Did you see that?
I did.
Obviously, after Bedard.
I love the pick.
Yeah, you do. I bet you do. Drafted Fantilli third, which I was actually really happy about. As much as I like Michkov or love Michkov, I was very happy with Fantilli at 3. I think I got Ryan Leonard at 6, which
would.
Yeah. Which it was between him and Benson. As much as I wanted to pick Benson because I think Buffalo is going to be absolutely loaded. And Ryan Leonard, I think, let's see if he's going to turn into a Kachuk. Why not? I was able to snag Dvorsky in the first round, and I snagged that goalie from St. Louis, Hofer.
Ah, very good.
Couple more picks.
Subject. I'll update you how I did, okay?
Go for it.
I got Shimashev in the second round, which was nice. I got Sandine Pelika right after that.
Did you get Pelika?
Who was available from Anaheim, who is like a highly touted defensive prospect. Oh, and this Kirk Bedard. I'm not sure who that is. Plays for Chicago. Did you ever hear of him, Travis?
I like that you said Kirk.
Kirk Bedard.
Yeah, first
they're probably going to be a bust.
It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Freaking Chicago.
Maybe we should have planned a fantasy hockey segment into this one.
I know. I just kind of blurted in there, but
No,
training camp
I would rather talk some fan. I mean, we're done. We ripped through our topics, didn't we? I mean, we didn't get to rookie camp.
Neither did they.
I could always go for some fantasy talk. All right, but let's get to rookie camp a little bit here. So it starts Thursday, right, Trav? It's Thursday. It's the 14th it starts.
Yep, on ice starts Thursday. Got a game Friday night against the Rangers rookies and Saturday afternoon, I believe, against the Rangers rookies.
Wow, that was quick. It's right off the bat. Do they usually do that quick?
It's a good question. I don't really remember.
I don't recall that happening so quick, but that'll be, I mean, at least that's something to watch.
Yeah, well, is it on TV? I haven't been able to find that.
Last year, I think they streamed it.
It was on TV last year because I remember Aarson played amazing in that game. That was the first time I ever seen him play. So it was on TV last year. I hope I can watch it.
It must have been 2 years ago. I remember streaming it on maybe the Flyers YouTube or the Rangers YouTube. I'm sure there'll be some way somehow to watch that game. That's out in like Lehigh or something, isn't it?
Yep.
So there you go. If you guys are
They used to do it at the skate zone. I remember Tyrell Goulbourne fought Tom Wilson one time. That was fun.
Oh.
And I was at one. I guess it was 2017. Patrick was on the top line with Lindblom, and Sam Moran was playing. Sanheim, Myers, Carter Hart was in net, and we were pretty optimistic about the franchise at that point.
Those days, man.
It's all good. We're bringing the optimism back. We got a strong future, I think.
That's all we have.
Yeah, we do. A couple comments here. Oakum's checking in.
Oakum.
My man. What's up, fellas? What's up, Oakum?
What's up, Oakum?
So yeah, rookie camp. You guys expecting to? Well, let's get into training camp too. Let's start with rookie camp. The roster came out, but I think you guys pretty much already know who's going to be at camp. Who is your standout player at rookie camp right now? Who do you think is going to be that guy? Let's start with Jack.
Cutter Gauthier. Oh, wait a minute.
Is he at school already? Like, why isn't he on
probably
the roster?
I'm going Forrester.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an easy one, but kind of what I expect.
I'm looking for. I just saw who's going to be there, and now I can't find it.
Denye, J.R. Avon, Oliver Bonk. I'll chime in. I kind of agree with Jack. Like I think Forster has to dominate. I won't go that far. I think he should dominate just because of the experience that he has, and I picked him for my opening night lineup. So I think Torts really likes him. I think if he has a good NHL training camp, or at least not a bad one, I think he makes the team. So I expect him to dominate, but we'll see how rookie camp goes. Another guy, Oliver Bonk. And I remember we talked about him when he signed that entry-level deal. And someone commented, like, do you think he's going to start in the AHL or the NHL? And I don't think either. He can't start in the AHL. Could he start in the NHL? I guess he could. And that's kind of like, you remember 11-12, Sean Couturier just drafted, and they let him make the team opening night, and he ended up sticking. And then the following year, Scott Lawton made the opening night team, and he played the 6 games so that his entry-level deal wouldn't kick in, and they sent him back to juniors. I'm kind of curious, and there's a lot of bodies on that defense, but if they, like, let's say Oliver Bonk dominates rookie camp and he has a really good NHL training camp, could this guy actually start for the Flyers for maybe 5 games? Entry-level deal doesn't kick in, and then they just send him back to London?
If he dominates and they get out of like starting that ELC by only giving him so many games, I don't see why not. This is the season to do that. Let him get a cup of coffee and then give him a little encouragement for a great training camp and preseason. But you ultimately don't want to have that contract start kicking in, so you send him back. It's been done before. That would be great. If he was really that good, there's no reason why not.
I think it's interesting.
I'd be fine with that.
I'm all about Bonk being good because so many people poo-pooed that pick. And I'll admit I wasn't exactly bonkers about it, pun intended. I really didn't mean to do that when they picked him. But I don't know. Like, the more I read about him and see him, he's so, like, steady A. And they just need a guy like that so bad. So, like, I really am pulling for him.
We have Oakham chiming in. Bonk is going to end up a steal. Let's hope so. TF is going to be looking for Denver Lil Bow Wow Barkey.
So when I mention him, when I call him that later, please remind me this is where it came from.
Lil Bow Wow Barkey.
Lil Bow Wow.
T-shirt. It's not trademarked. So I did find the roster. I'll read it out real quick. It's not very long. For the forward group, J.R. Avon, Denver Barkey, Bobby Brink, pair of 5'8", 5'9" forwards there. Alex Ciernik, this year's 2023 4th-round pick. Elliot Denoyer. Tyson Forster. Alexei Gendron. Samu Tuomala. Zaid Wisdom. And there's a few camp invites here. A guy by the name of Matt Brown from Woodridge, New Jersey. Jonathan Beauchamp. Brendan Fury and Jacob Gauthier will attend camp. Jacob Gauthier is 6'4", from Longueuil, Quebec. So that's your forwards. Did you guys know that Alex Ciernik was born in Germany? Is he German? Because I don't remember seeing that he was from Germany when I read about this kid.
Let me look. I'll try looking it up.
Maybe.
And the only reason I think that's significant is because any player that comes over from Germany these days is a freaking stud. You know,
I bet he's Austrian.
Oh yeah, I think that's right, Jack. I think he's Austrian. Maybe he was born in Germany and maybe identifies as Austrian or whatever. Who knows?
Identifies.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to defensemen here. 2020 second-round pick Emile Andre, another 5'9". Oliver Bonk, Adam Yinin, Helga Grans, Matteo Mann, this year's 7th-round pick. Mason Millman. Man, they have 2D with the initials MM. Weird. Ethan Sampson will be there. Carter Sutherland, this year's 5th-round pick. Will Smolik, and camp invite Sam Sedley from St. Mary's, Ontario. The goaltenders in rookie camp. Carson Bjarnason, this year's 2nd-round pick, and Nolan Meyer, a camp invite. So there you go. That's your 2023 rookie camp, Flyers rookie camp. Do we have any more comments?
He's Slavic.
Oh, there you go. Tie.
Aye.
Ciernik is
Oh,
Slovakian. Good
beat me
stuff.
to it.
How about this comment? Barkey reminds me of
Hmm.
Eric Wellwood's game. That's from Oakham. That would
I
be
love that.
I
what a pick that would be, you know?
Great stripper name too. I like the shirt idea.
I do too.
I mean,
Bark-
can you
Little
imagine
Bow Wow
if
Barky.
Bonk is something? A little slip of the tongue, boom, t-shirt.
All right. So my standout defenseman in rookie camp, as much as I would love to say Helga Grans, and they have him listed here at 6'3". Chad, do you remember when we were at the what was that scrimmage that we were
Yeah,
at? What was
development camp.
Development camp. Didn't he look like an absolute monster?
Yep. The puck
This
skills
hasn't-
you could see, man.
Yeah. Maybe 6'3", and then with skates, that makes him look a lot bigger, but
Mhm.
he's like hulking. Like he's big. I'm gonna go Andre though. Emil Andre. I think this is going to be a guy throughout this year. You know, prospect guys and Flyers fans are going to be hooting and hollering about. You know, and then come next season, I think he's going to have a legitimate chance to play an entire year, maybe with the Flyers. We'll see, because he still is young, but I think this is going to be the start of the Emil Andre hype. This camp, maybe. Like I said, I
I'm
think
on
he has.
that train, that's
He
for
looked
sure.
good in dev camp.
Yeah. So we'll see. You know,
So
he's
you know who
a
I
short,
like to
stocky
see play
guy.
really well?
Yeah.
No, so you know who I'd like to see play really well, because I've been hearing a lot about him forever. He's like my J.K. Dobbins. That'd be Bobby Brink. All right, this is the guy that was supposed to make me forget all about Cole Caulfield, because we got York, but we traded back up. We got Bobby and I hate his skating, but he's gonna be great. Well, and he's had a slew of injuries. This is a guy I would really like to see show me what everybody's talking about. So I would love to see that. So
Is
now
he in rookie camp? I didn't
He
see
read
his
his
name.
name,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what reminded me of him, was when Jim read his name. To be honest, I wasn't sure either.
He was the guy that stuck out to me the most in dev camp. He was the guy I was most impressed by.
If he is impressive again and gets hurt, like at some point this year, I'm gonna be pissed. Like no more of that shit. Like he needs to play. Like, I'm ready for a lot of talk on this guy. It's time for the myth to become reality.
Right.
I want to see this.
Offensively, I think you might see that this
Woody,
year.
look forward.
I mentioned on past shows, I think if you watched him towards the end of the year with the Phantoms, he looked too good to be playing in the AHL. If you look at the Flyers roster, though, they don't really have a spot.
A lot
on
of
the
bodies
roster
to beat
for-
out.
Yeah, for Bobby Brink, and maybe sometime between now and the beginning of next year, Cam Atkinson goes somewhere. Wade Allison may not be here, so maybe a spot opens up on the third line somewhere. Next year maybe is the year he makes the team out of camp. But I think we see him as that call-up guy throughout this year. If there's an injury, call up Bobby Brink, yada yada. He's a guy I think, as long as he picks up where he left off, fans might get excited about him this year.
Hey, it's a good problem to have. I just want to see
good call.
you guys do their thing.
Good call with that one. All right. So that's rookie camp. Carson Bjarnason will be there. So when I'm doing some of this last minute research for this dynasty startup that we're doing, Bjarnason was a guy that I had on my queue. And so I'm doing some research. I'm looking this guy up a little bit. I don't know if the list was from last year or from this year, but he was number 1 on top 10 North American goaltenders list at one point. So this wasn't just like a random pick, like, hey, let's go pick up a goalie in back-to-back picks or whatever. This was, Carson Bjarnason fell to us at 51. We need to take him kind of thing here. Like, I don't think we've talked about him enough. And it's, he's a goalie. The Flyers have a lot of them. How much time do we want to spend talking about goalies? But Bjarnason has kind of flown under the radar in a draft where, we drafted Michkov and had a second first-round pick and Oliver Bonk. Bjarnason has flown under the radar. This is a top goalie prospect that the Flyers have drafted, and they've added it to the cupboard of top goalie prospects that they have. I don't want to say that this is a guy we should get excited about, but if you go to the rookie camp, he's a guy I think that we should be watching. This is a real talent now in the system in Bjarnason. So just wanted to point that out.
Goalie factory, baby.
There are so many intriguing names, man. I don't even remember there being this many names back. Travis, you kind of alluded to this back when when Moran was like one of our top. I remember there being a lot of defensemen, but that was kind of it. You had a couple of guys sprinkled in here or there, just up and down the lineup and goal. There was just so many names. I'm very curious to see what they got, what they can do, and it's almost the entire roster at this point. Even a guy like Zayden Wisdom, I'm like, dude, you need to put up or shut up. And I'm not even talking about at the professional level. Like, that's still interesting to me. Like, there's a lot of guys throughout the entire lineup that I could follow in the NHL, obviously with the Phantoms, and God knows where else that, other countries. They have a hell of a pool right now. And if you can see, they're being ranked pretty high. I don't remember the site, but I read a site based on the prospects they have, superstar potential, NHL potential. They were ranked as high as 3 for like their prospects.
Well.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous from where they were 2 years ago. So wow.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this list and it's actual high-end talent prospects on here. It's not, a bunch of 22, 23, 24-year-old, lifelong AHL guys. Like even guys like Samu Tuomola and Alexei Gendron, these guys have a chance to do something. They're both signed to play with the Phantoms. This will be the first time I think we'll be able to see them unless you went to development camp. I'm excited to watch those guys. Gendron was the second leading goal scorer in the CHL last year. So 7th round pick in 2022. Is it real, or is it just a product of playing against, lesser kind of talent? Or is he the real deal? Did they get a steal in the 7th round? I'll be looking to see that. Tuomala's finally come over from Finland. Speed demon. He was beating Emil Andre in development camp. So I'll be interested to see how he's going to do. Obviously, Tyson Forster, a guy we all can't wait to watch in the NHL. Elliot Denoyer, who I think, at least for me personally, because I don't expect him to make the roster, it'll be interesting to see how he does now as one of the older guys in camp, as one of the leaders potentially. Will he set the tone kind of thing? Well, so there's a lot to watch for. And Jack mentioned Bobby Brink. There's some development camp's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend. Okay. Now, Flyers actual camp starts, I believe, next week. Is that correct, Trav? Do you know the exact dates? Because I don't recall.
It's the week of the 18th.
Okay, yeah.
Don't remember the exact day. It's not the 18th. I know that. It's somewhere in the middle of the week.
All right. So I'm looking at, I think you're right, because it looks like rookie camp ends Tuesday, September 19th, I believe.
So maybe the 21st. Do they play the 23rd?
I thought they played the 25th against the Devils.
Is that right?
Wow.
Is that what it is?
I'm trying to remember if there's anything else in there. I thought I just saw that before we went live.
That could be right. I was thinking 23rd, but that's Eagles Monday night, so maybe you're right.
Well, let me check my handy dandy Flyers calendar.
It looks like you need media credentials to go to rookie camp.
Saw that.
And you have to.
I'm sure it'll be open to the fans and the public, but.
Yep. Media interested in covering rookie series game at
Travis,
PPL.
It looks like there's a couple of games that start on the 23rd, but the Flyers don't have one until the 25th. Yeah.
Yep.
So it looks like the 23rd is when it starts for the league.
Okay. Flyers
will play Monday the 25th, 7 p.m. at Devils, New Jersey.
The old Prudential Center?
I guess. It doesn't say. That's all they got, right? Yep, Prudential Center. Look at that.
Need for Speed, baby.
And you guys watch The Office?
all the time.
Oh, you know what? Never mind. That's the wrong thing. Remember when he goes, I feel the need for tweed. You remember that episode or nah?
I feel like I do, but I
Nope.
can't pull. Sorry.
It wasn't Speed. Sorry.
I know
but
that
I feel the
Creed
need
is
for
my
speed.
favorite character. How's that? And then on the 27th, they'll see Jackson Cates and the New York Islanders.
Hey, maybe
It's
you'll
a
get a hat
rival.
trick. Improve that Young Guns price.
I may have to sell it that day.
Yeah, you would. That'll never be that high again. All right, boys. Ciernik, Avon, Tuomo, the line would probably be fun to watch. And Avon's a guy that's, you know who I didn't see on that list? And I guess it's because he's back at college. Is Massimo Rizzo.
Correct.
Oh,
Right, I
jeez,
guess
I
he's
forgot all
back in
about
school.
him.
Kaplan too. He's at school.
Yeah, Kaplan, yep.
What's
All right, so
crazy
they're
about that
college.
line, though, that's like your well, I guess you're playing against yourself, but like it's like a third line. You know, I mean, that's how much talent they have. Like they could, like that would be like a third line, or could be.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get up to see any of the practices in camp. Oh, shit. I pressed the wrong button. Let me check the schedule one more time. So it looks like they have games Saturday, Friday, and Saturday. Sunday, they have a practice that maybe you'll try to make it out to. And this way we can have things to talk about on Monday.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Boys, any topics that we didn't cover that you'd like to go over before we wrap up?
Don't think so.
Yeah, I
Kind
think
of shot
that's
our
I mean, I know there's
Boosh.
just so much news this week, but I think we got it.
yeah, I think we did too. So okay. If no one in the comments has anything else, we're gonna wrap up. Thank you, Zach, Jared, TF, Oakham, and did I miss anybody? And Ty for hanging out.
Ty.
Always a pleasure hanging out with you fellas. We'll be back next Monday to talk Flyers rookie camp and obviously some Flyers Rangers. And that's it. Like we're jumping into the season next week, right?
Yeah.
Preseason, camp, it starts. Flyers are almost back. So we'll see you guys next Monday. Everybody have a safe week. That's it. Bye-bye.
Johan
Vaccine roulette.
Backlund.